Hi guys, welcome to this second video for Paper 3, Unit 6.3, Local and Global Resilience. In this video, we'll carry on looking at WWF. So to remind you what this section is asking us to look at is the effectiveness of an international civil society. So to gauge the effectiveness of WWF, we'll start by looking at their mission statements. We've already mentioned organisations such as AVHAS. They have quite a different mission statement, and they're mainly about raising people's awareness. But let's have a look at WWF. So here we can see that WWF operates in 100 countries, and they're currently in more than 1,300 conservation projects around the planet. And that goes from small scale to very large scale. So here you can see clearly that collectively WWF as an international organisation has quite a substantial impact, or a potential to have a substantial impact on improving things. They recognise themselves that this is not an easy task, and they've set themselves a very, very challenging mission statement. So you might want to go in and look at the detail of some of those conservation programs they're actually doing. For this video, we're going to have a think about key things, which is the world's biological diversity and the use of renewable natural resources in a sustainable way, and the reduction of pollution and wasteful consumption. And they're three areas that WWF not only raises awareness, but they're also very active. Now, the process of being active doesn't necessarily mean that they are effective. So you do have to go in now and have a look at some of the WWF projects that they are working on, not just a source of information from WWF, but also other organisations that are reporting on the activities of WWF. So we're going to go on now to think about WWF and the Sustainable Development Goals. So the mission statement from WWF breaks down, and so they're talking here about being global, independent, multicultural, and non-political. So some civil societies do have a political or religious element to them. Sometimes they do have a cultural element to them. I'm not, of course, suggesting that this is bad in any way whatsoever, but the neutrality of WWF as an organisation means that they can be effective over socio-cultural and political and religious borders. So they're not constrained by that. Another organisation, a civil society organisation that takes a similar stance is Médecins Sans Frontières. So here, if we look at it, they're talking about involving local communities. So that's actually quite important when we're thinking about why WWF is effective. So it hasn't got that political or religious element to it. It doesn't operate to political boundaries, and it does involve local communities and involve stakeholders in the project. Whenever you have a project that works across socio-economic and political boundaries, and a project that actively engages with stakeholders and looks at what stakeholders actually need, then that's very, very, very useful. And one of the problems that a lot of civil society organisations do have is that they have a specified project, and that specified project happens in a specified area, has particular things within a time frame that they want to do. Now, what tends to happen is they do have a quality control procedure, and that's where they look back at the project and they think about improvements that can be made. This is kind of a problem. I'm sure you've always been often in a situation where you've been asked to give some student feedback and some student evaluation on a piece of work. And you must have in your head, what actually is the point in doing that, because I've already done this piece of work and I've already got the grade. Why am I going to talk about ways to improve it? So a similar sort of thing that is going on here. The private sector, and Coca-Cola would be a good example of this in contrast, actually does real time field analysis of their operations. So they don't wait until the end of a project and then evaluate a project. They evaluate the projects as they go along. Civil societies are starting to learn from the private sector, and they are starting to move towards a model where they have a real time evaluation and they evaluate as they go along. But in general, with civil societies, there does seem to be an emphasis there on evaluating their effectiveness at the end of the project. So you just need to have a think, what is the role of this? What is the point of doing that? So I'm going to let you go away now. I'm going to stop this video and I'm going to let you have a think about which Sustainable Development Goals WWF could have a role in helping to achieve.